lives often find that once they've completed treatment, they have nowhere to go when they are discharged from the programs that they've participated in. They often become homeless and the cycle begins again. What will you do to ensure that the hard work that individuals have undertaken to become clean and sober and the dollars that have been spent don't go to waste?
So I think, there's a lot of recycling in the same problem with people who have various addiction issues. I would say that we need to work harder on the transitioning out of the various programs that they're entering in. We also have the guaranteed annual income. That's part of what we are going to be following through with as the NDP, and this would be something that would provide the help that people need, the financial aid in order to get them back into the mainstream of life. So there's also got to be a lot of training so that people can get good jobs, and this is another thing that has to be, it's something that has been cut back on, that is the
Okay, for Joel, several years ago, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives did a study that showed that it costs about $58,000 a year to keep somebody homeless and about $38,000 a year to house them. And we know that those costs have gone up over the last few years. If we could house everyone, how would you propose that the approximately $20,000 per person in the country be reinvested in order to ensure that people are housed appropriately and that there's ongoing building of affordable housing for folks?
Can you repeat the last part of that question real quick? $20,000 after.
Yeah, so if we're spending $58,000 a year to keep people homeless, and if we keep them housed, or if we provide housing, it reduces the cost to $38,000. That's $20,000 a year per person, the thousands of people across the country.
Yeah.
So how could we invest that money differently instead of keeping people living on the street?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we don't want to keep anybody living on the street, so we need to help more people get off the street. Like I said in the beginning, every Canadian deserves respect, and the fact that we still have Canadians living on the street is pretty appalling in my opinion. I think that we're a first world country, and we should be able to take care of our own citizens. I mean, even before we look abroad to help abroad, we need to be able to help our own Canadian citizens, and that includes veterans too. Our policy for veterans is going back to 2006, before where veterans had a much better chance of getting ahead with the money we provided them, but now it's been cutbacks. So, we need to take care of our own people first before we go abroad with our money.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Kevin. It's often difficult to propose affordable housing in communities because of people's negative perceptions of who will be moving in and what it means in terms of property values, safety, etc. What measures would you implement to help change people's fears?
As I mentioned before, studies have been shown, for example, in Falls Creek area, there's some very expensive homes there. It's right on the waterfront. They also have low-income housing there. So I would encourage governments to, instead of segregating people, they need to, as I said, have low-income housing mixed up with people who are rich or middle class. Just that's what studies have shown, and that's what needs to be done. I don't know if you can really put in a law and force specific governments to do that, but hopefully the research, if you could show them that they would do that. Because it's very important that people recognize that everybody has value. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Stephen, the Liberal Party has promised to impose a national 1% tax on properties owned by non-Canadians and non-residents. As we saw in 2016 in British Columbia, a tax of this nature can have unexpected repercussions. How will you ensure that newcomers and permanent residents' housing needs are not unduly affected by such a ruling?
Well, my personal view on this, and I think in general, one of the problems that we've got with housing, whether it's from foreigners coming in and buying up property, is that we are doing development really in the name of profit rather than doing it that's going to help people be housed. So I think that wherever that money is coming from, whether it be national or from international sources, we have to be looking at housing as something that residents in Canada need, and that we should be building so that people can come here and live and enjoy our country with us, not something with speculation and money laundering. These are problems that we should be taking care of.
Thank you. This question is for Randeep Sarai. Political platforms often make promises to build and increase affordable housing stock. What does your party promise in this regard, and how will you ensure Surrey gets the investment that a city of this size requires, and in what time frame?
I've fought for its fair share, whether it was public transportation. We received $1.6 billion for new SkyTrain, which since 1986 we have not received any expansion in that respect. We've received over $45 million combined with the province, $90 million for SFU. It's been the most that Surrey is the largest post-secondary infrastructure grant in Canada, which was received in Surrey. We've also received, I believe, $7 to $8 million for the Veterans Village to house veterans, homeless veterans, as well as senior veterans. That's breaking ground and being built right now. As well as affordable rental housing. The first projects have already started there in South Surrey. There's about a dozen that are in application stage here in Surrey Centre. And we've also had a $60 million forensic lab that has also been announced and built and is in operational with 140 scientists working right here in Surrey Centre. So that is one of my main goals, is to get Surrey its fair share of infrastructure, and I think I've delivered in the last 4 years and will continue to do so.